Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Jobu, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. Because without you guys, this would be nothing. And I mean that, guys. I want to thank each and every one of you out there that are subscribers to the Jobu Sports Report from the four corners of the earth. I mean, we're talking Kenya, we're talking Chechnya, we're talking Japan. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. But it's real easy, though, when you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Wow is all I can say. Yesterday was literally a whirlwind of activity. I mean, between La'el Collins getting an extension, and shout out to him. I feel great for that guy. Having Jordan Lewis being acquitted of domestic violence charges in Pillowgate. You had Jerry Jones. Oh boy, Jerry Jones kind of went off yesterday on the media. I've got that clip. Let's check out that clip right now.
I've never talked to a player that I didn't have empathy. Now, you're talking to somebody here that if y'all have done one thing in my time, and to criticize me is how I will back up a player to a fault. You've done it. You've done it for years for that. I will back them up to a fault so that when we do make a decision around here that in best interest of the team to move on, there's one thing you can forget about, and that is whether you're being fair or whether you've given it consideration of what it means to the individual. That doesn't happen around here. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Jerry is a little pissed there yesterday having to answer that, and Jason Garrett kind of had egg on his face, you know, with his whole, we made a decision in the best interest of the team, we're sticking with that, and repeating that and sounding like a broken record. We all knew somebody had to be the sacrificial lamb. I had been saying that all along. You know, it's one thing to make a statement with a guy that you weren't planning on being on your team anyway, but when you have guys like Nolan Carroll in your secondary, you're looking at needing, you got guys like Damian Wilson that you know, are a little bit short on linebackers, you count on needing too. It's kind of hard to make a statement with those guys, but it is what it is. But speaking of linebackers, today, yes, today will be the first day that Jaylon Smith practices in pads. That's right, we're talking about practice. Not a game yet for Jaylon Smith, but we're talking about him practicing in pads. And it'll be interesting to see how he does. How he's moving with the pads, see if he still has that limp as he's running around and so on, and takes a step in the right direction. Like I keep telling you guys, pump the brakes. If we get anything out of him this season, it's icing on the cake. The fact that this guy is even getting on the field right now is better than what you may have been able to hope for before, because we're talking about a catastrophic knee injury. I mean, we're talking about nerve damage on top of it. You know, it's one thing to tear the ACL, you know, and get one from a cadaver and put in your knee. It's another when you literally rupture all the nerve endings and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes along, and I can't wait to look at that. But I do have great freaking news for everybody, because 2 weeks from today, that's right, 2 weeks from today, the Jobu Sports Report will be live, headed for California and Oxnard, and we will be at practice on Thursday and Friday, and we'll be at the game against the Rams. So I got to tell you, I am as excited as can be about going back to Cali. So hopefully we won't have any bad news today. Hopefully we will finally get past Jaylon Smith and this situation. Now, I got to tell you, if the last couple of days, or last week and a half really, has not been a learning experience, then you're just plain stupid. Because I want you guys to think about the things that we have heard in the last week and a half. We heard that Zeke Elliott punched a bouncer. Reported. Everybody went crazy. The guy should be suspended immediately. Turns out, he wasn't punched by a bouncer. He didn't punch a bouncer, didn't punch anybody. He was exonerated from that. But TMZ and those guys, they went off on that tangent that, oh, Zeke Elliott involved in a bar fight. Yeah. Okay. And I got swept up in the Lucky Whitehead shoplifting thing. I was like, if you're that stupid, you need to go. Everybody assumed, including me, all the other media, even the state police, thought it was Lucky Whitehead. Now, I got to tell you, that's one of the strangest stories I've ever heard. Strange but true. Somebody knew his social security number, his date of birth, all that information, had no ID, and the police took it. So all the media was wrong. Jordan Lewis, accused of domestic violence. Go to trial. He's exonerated. No conviction. So we got to be careful what we believe when we first hear it. That goes for me as well. Like I said, I made a mistake on Lucky Whitehead. I assumed that the worst case scenario. But the bad part about this is, what you'll notice now is, when you're found not guilty, when you're exonerated, when the news is wrong, it's not front page. It's way in the back, or it's highly covered. There's no big pictures. Because when Zeke Elliott was at the club, we had TMZ, bump, 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 putting pictures of a guy rolling around on the floor. Nothing tied Zeke Elliott to it, but that was the breaking news story. When it was found that it wasn't him, did you hear anything from TMZ that it was nothing? No. But unfortunately, what we are left with is the impression that he did that. A lot of people won't hear that he didn't. A lot of people won't hear that Jordan Lewis was acquitted of the charges in Pillowgate. What will be the take back from that is people will think Jordan Lewis, he was accused of domestic violence, and in your head you think that he's guilty, but he's not. In your head you heard that Lucky Whitehead was shoplifting. It wasn't Lucky Whitehead. So when we cover the stories of things that we assume are wrong, we should cover them as well when they're not, because we are slandering people. We are messing up their future and their livelihood. And that's where, like I said, I apologize to Lucky Whitehead. I assume that you were guilty. But I'm man enough to say I was wrong, and I owe you an apology, and I wish you well. And I think if we had more coverage like that, we would have more accurate stories, and we would have a different perspective on guys. Because the fact of the matter is, when everybody says that the Dallas Cowboys are a chain gang, when you have guys like Ryan Clark, who was out there talking about the culture in Dallas is bad with Lucky Whitehead and, the Damian Wilson and all these guys that are in the news, well, they're covered in the news more than if it's a guy in Tampa Bay. Flat out. When you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've had a lot worse things happen in Pittsburgh than you have in Dallas. So for Ryan Clark to say that it's the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, we won't talk about Big Ben and stuff he's done in clubs. We won't talk about when he played, Ryan Clark played in New York, we had like Plexico Burress carry a illegal firearm into a club and shoot himself in the leg. We won't talk about James Harrison, who was convicted of domestic violence. We won't talk about Joey Porter, their coach, who was in a bar fight right after a playoff game. But yet, his idea and his narrative is it's the Dallas Cowboys are the bad guy. No, they're not any worse than anybody else. In fact, the numbers are less in Dallas than anywhere else. But it is what it is. I guess that's the burden of being a... So, that is what it is. I'm going to have a long day today. I've got to try and get this framing done here early, pick up some materials to build some doors in the workshop, and then I'll be working some this evening. Hopefully I can get it done early enough that I won't have to work late tonight, because we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys and we got a lot of coverage. Now I'm hoping that see some of you guys out in California. We'll definitely try and do some meet and greets or try and do a little tailgating at the Rams games. But I got to tell you, I just can't wait to get there. I wish I could quit my day job and be in Oxnard right now, but I got to pay my bills. So again, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe B Sports Report. And I'm going to do the best I can to bring you the most accurate news as fast as it comes in on the Dallas Cowboys. Joe Boo, it's time to get back to our day job.